The Maid in the Shade will be at Woodring all week, and there will be opportunities to pay a small fee to tour the plane. And also there's an opportunity to purchase tickets, I believe, online to actually fly in the B-25. Ed, tell us a little bit about this. When you pulled up, I jokingly said it reminded me of a 12-cylinder Case tractor that I used to drive a long time ago. Very loud. Tell us about these engines.
Pretty much, but it's probably a little louder than that.
Yeah,
they're Wright Cyclone two rows of 7 14-cylinder engines. They put out 1,700 pounds of thrust at takeoff power. They are loud. When they initially were built, they didn't. All of the exhaust stacks were short and very loud. And they've done a modification on these where the top ring is in a collector, a little bit quieter, but it's not much. It's probably the one of the loudest. It's the loudest plane I've ever been in.
Now, when this thing was up and running in 1944, serving in World War II, tell us about the number of crew. There were 2 pilots, I assume?
Yeah, I think they were crewed with 6. You got a bombardier, navigator, and then you got the pilot, co-pilot, the crew chief, and then he'd be up in the top turret gun, and then you've got the waist gunner in the back, and then the tail gunner in the rear. And it carried anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 pounds of bombs. And what a lot of them did at the end of the war, they did field conversions where they would put more cannons or machine guns on the front. Some of them had 8. And then the Marines had there's one flying that's got a cannon, a 75 millimeter cannon up in the nose that they're used mostly for ground attack and strafing. But it was a fast airplane.
Well, tell us, as a pilot, what are the comparisons of flying a 777? Is that what you said? A
Right.
777 to a B-25?
It's totally opposite. It's a totally opposite flying. I'm fairly new on this. I've only been on tour with the 25 for a couple of years, and it's the hardest thing to get used to is the taxiing because the nose wheel just free spins, and the brakes are hydraulic that when you touch them, they just kind of take off in their own direction. It takes a while to get a feel for the brakes, and I don't know how the guys did it training these things. They must have wrecked a lot of them, but it's totally different flying. The big airliners are real easy to fly.
Ed, I'm quite confident you've heard of the Oklahoma State song, When the Wind Comes Sweeping Down the Plains. Today's a great example of that. How much runway do you need to get this thing in the air?
Oh, well,
any good guesses?
Well, our minimum we use is 4,000 feet, but we could probably do a little less than that for taking off. You wouldn't want to do it for landing because of the brakes and all that, but depending on the wind. But
well, this interview, Ed, will air all week on the Enid Television Network. What would you say to folks that maybe not be familiar with the B-25 or maybe World War vintage airplanes? What would you say to them about coming out to viewing the aircraft this week?
Well, the reason we do it is for the people that aren't familiar with it and the veterans that come out. We get people, and it's only going to be a few more years. The guys that used to fly these or work on them are in their late 90s at this time, and we still get a couple coming out to the airport, and that's what it's all about. We get goosebumps showing them, and they come out. We want to put them up in the in the seat and just show them the plane. But for the little kids that are into aviation and the people that just haven't seen the planes, it's a history that it's not going to be around forever, and so we just feel privileged enough to be able to fly these aircraft to show people, how it used to be, and get up and touch it and smell it and get oil all over yourself, and how it used to fly.
And that's what I was going to add. As a history buff, I always like to see things that have been preserved, and it takes you back to, say, 1944, when this was in its heyday, if you will. Well, Ed, thank you very much for being here. Welcome to Enid.
Thanks for having us.
And
really
appreciate what you do to keep this bird flying. And we want to encourage people to come out to Woodring Regional Airport all week for an opportunity to tour and also to pay a fee to ride on the plane as well. Maid in the Shade. This is the Flying Legends Victory Tour at Woodring Regional Airport. This is Steve Kime with the City of Enid. Make it a great day, everyone. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.